Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. So we are today reading from 4th canto, chapter number 24 and verse number 64. Srishtam swashakyedam anupravishtas chaturvidam puram atmam shakena ato vidustam purusham santamantar bhunkte rishikeir madhusara gamyah. Srishtam swashakyedam anupravishtas chaturvidam puram atmam shakena ato vidustam purusham santamantar bhunkte rishikeir madhusara gamyah. Srishtam swashakyedam anupravishtas chaturvidam puram atmam shakena ato vidustam purusham santamantar bhunkte rishikeir madhusara gamyah. Synonyms, word by word meaning. Srishtam, in the creation, Swashaktya, by your own potency, idam, this cosmic manifestation, anupravishtaha, entering for afterward, chaturvidam, 4 kinds of puram, bodies, atma amsakena, by your own part and parcel. Ato, therefore, vidu, no, tam, him, purusham, the enjoyer, santam, existing, antaha, within, bhunkte, enjoys, rishike, by the senses, madhu, sweetness, saragam, honey, yaha, one who. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Excuse me. My dear Lord, after creating by your own potencies, you enter within the creation in 4 kinds of forms. Being within the hearts of the living entities, you know them, know how they are enjoying their senses. The so-called happiness of this material creation is exactly like the bee's enjoyment of honey after it has been collected in the honeycomb. Purport. The material cosmic manifestation is an exhibition of the external energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But because dull matter cannot work independently, the Lord Himself enters within the material creation in the form of a partial expansion, Paramatma. And He enters also by His separated parts and parcels, the living entities. In other words, both the living entities and the Supreme Personality of Godhead enter into the material creation just to make it active. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 7.5, Aparayam ittastvanyam prakritim vidhi me param jiva bhutam mahabaho yayedam daryate jagat. Besides this inferior nature, O mighty armed Arjuna, there is a superior energy of mind which consists of all living entities who are struggling with the material nature and are sustaining the universe. Since the material world cannot work independently, the living entities enter into the material manifestation in 4 different types of bodies. The word Chaturvidam is significant in this verse. There are 4 types of living entities born within this material world. Some are born by the way of an embryo, Jarayuja, by way of eggs, Andaja, perspiration, Swedaja, and like the trees by the way of seeds, Udbija. Regardless of how these living entities appear, they are all busy in the pursuit of sense enjoyment. The materialistic scientists contention that living entities other than the human beings have no soul is nullified herein. Whether they are born through an embryo eggs perspiration, or seeds. All living entities in the 8.4 million species of life are parts and parcels of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And each, therefore, is an individual spiritual spark and soul. The Supreme Personality of Godhead also remains within the heart of the living entity, regardless of whether the living entity is a man, animal, tree, germ, or microbe. The Lord resides in everyone's heart, and because all the living entities who come to this material world do so in order to fulfill their desire for sense enjoyment, the Lord directs the living entities to enjoy their senses. Thus, the Paramatma, the Supreme Personality of God, knows everyone's desires. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 15.15, Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishto matta smritir jnanam apohanam cha. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. Remaining within the hearts of all living entities, the Lord bestows remembrance by which the living entities can enjoy certain things. Thus, the living entities create their enjoyable honeycombs and then enjoy them. The example of the bees is appropriate because when bees try to enjoy their honeycomb, they have to suffer the bites of other bees. Because bees bite one another, when they enjoy honey, they are not exclusively enjoying the sweetness of the honey, for there is also suffering. In other words, the living entities are subjected to the pains and pleasures of material enjoyment. Whereas the Supreme Personality of Godhead, knowing their plans for sense enjoyment, is aloof from them. In the Upanishads, the example is given of two birds sitting on a tree. One bird, the jiva or living entity, is enjoying the fruits of the tree. The other bird, Paramatma, is simply witnessing. In the Bhagavad Gita 13.23, the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Paramatma is described as Upadrashta, the overseer, and Anumanta, the permitter. The Lord simply witnesses and gives the living entity sanction for sense enjoyment. It is the Paramatma also who gives the intelligence by which the bees can construct a hive, collect honey from various flowers, store it, and enjoy it. Although the Paramatma is aloof from the living entities, he knows their intentions and he gives them facilities by which they can enjoy or suffer the results of their actions. Human society is exactly like a beehive, for everyone is engaged in collecting honey from various flowers or collecting money from various sources and creating large empires for common enjoyment. However, after these empires are created, the bites of other nations have to be suffered. Sometimes nations declare war upon one another, and human beehives become sources of misery. Although human beings are creating their beehives in order to enjoy the sweetness of their senses, they are at the same time suffering from the bites of other persons or nations. The Supreme Personality of Godhead as Paramatma is simply witnessing all these activities. The conclusion is that both the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the Jivas enter into the material world. However, the Paramatma or Supreme Personality of Godhead is worshipable because he has arranged for the happiness of the living entity in the material world. Because it is the material world, however, no one can enjoy any kind of happiness without inebriety. Material enjoyment means inebriety, whereas spiritual enjoyment means pure enjoyment under the protection of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Om Ajnana-Timirandasya Jnananjana-Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakama. Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagarjatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitam Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swamini Namini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschati Deshitarini No Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratvishe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Sapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpataru Kripa Sindhu Vacha Pitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaur Bhaktavranda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Kumkuruti Vacharam Pangum Langa Aite Giri Yat Kripa Tamaha Vande Sri Guru Dinatarina Hare Krishna. It's a great fortune to be with all the devotees of ICC Bangalore. Actually, I had come from ISKCON Pune just for a few days because my parents are here in Bangalore. So my mother was not well, so I just came to see my mother. But still I could get the association of all the ICC devotees for many days. I was fortunate. Thank you. And I require, of course, all of you are senior devotees, so I personally require your blessings so that I can speak something which I can share something valuable for all of you. So last few verses we saw how Lord Shiva, when he met the Prachetas, so Lord Shiva was very much pleased. So he was thinking, he openly told them that I am very pleased to see you, all the devotees, striving for self-realization. Then he started glorifying the form of the Lord. He started telling the Prachetas. First of all, he told Prachetas, he was very inspired to see the Prachetas striving for self-realization. Then he glorified the form of the Lord. Then he told, what is the procedure to worship the lotus feet of the Lord? Then he also told the Prachetas. He started the Rudra Gitam actually, which is basically the glorification of the Lord and the devotees. And he told about the glories of bhakti, the glories of bhaktas, and later he said it is very important to take the association of the pure devotees of the Lord, who are like the carriers of the Supreme Lord Krishna's mercy, like that. So here we see Lord Shiva himself is glorifying the devotees of Lord Vishnu. Then, of course, Lord Shiva, in the recent verses, we saw how Lord Shiva is actually saying that the Brahma Jyoti which is manifesting from the body of Lord Krishna. So it is that same Brahma Jyoti in which the whole material universes are manifested. Then Lord Shiva glorifies all this. He glorifies Maya Devi. That is also in connection with Lord Krishna only. He says how through the agency of the external energy Maya, so Lord is controlling the whole material creation. So he's awarding punishment. He's so many things. So he's trying to reform the living entities. So like that. So then in this verse, Lord Shiva says how Lord as the Supreme Lord Krishna as Paramatma, he's there in all the living entities. And he's there in the material creation through the living entities also, through himself and also through his living entities. So here, the mainly in this purport, uh, so Prabhupada is very emphatically he's saying that how uh, the in one of the lines Prabhupada is saying, I'll just read out the line once again. So the Prabhupada is saying the material scientist connection that living entities other than human beings have no soul is nullified herein. So just in the previous few lines back, so Prabhupada is saying that how the Lord manifests in this material creation through the living entities in basically in four forms. So one is the form of through the embryo, through the eggs, and through perspiration, and through the way of seeds. So how is it the living entities take birth in this material creation through the embryo? Just like when a man and a woman unite. So just like human beings unite, then through the embryo, a living entity is born. The second way a living entity is born is by the way of eggs. So just like the birds, so they lay. So that is also the second way of living entities are born in this universe. Then another is through perspiration. So just like is some place where there is moist or too humid regions, also sometimes living entities take birth through sweat and all. Small, minute living entities like insects or lice. So all these kind of living entities they take birth through the sweat or perspiration. And the fourth way living entities take birth in this material world is through the by way of seeds. So just like when trees they grow up, then they through the seeds also the living entities take birth. When the seed is planted somewhere else, so again another tree grows. So these are the four main ways through which living entities are born in this universe. So here, Prabhupada is very strongly he's saying that the material scientist contention that living entities other than human beings have no soul is nullified herein. So Prabhupada is using the scriptures to say that even the trees have a soul, even the insects have soul, even the birds have soul, all these things. So, once when there was one reporter, Mike Robinson, so he had met Prabhupada. So he was also saying the same thing. So does the animal have soul? Then Prabhupada said that. So Prabhupada said, see, animals are also eating, human beings are also eating. Animals are sleeping, you're also sleeping. Animals are mating, you're also mating. And animals are defending, you're also defending. Then how do you say that animals have no soul? So what's the difference between you and animals? So you're also doing the same activities which animals are also doing. Then how do you, so Prabhupada told the reporter, how do you say that animals have no soul? Then that reporter said, Prabhupada, by Swamiji, but the our scriptures, it is mentioned that in the Christian scriptures, it is mentioned that animals have. Then Prabhupada immediately cut the reporter's statement. He said that, see, you are basically saying animals have no soul because you want to kill and eat the animals. So let us keep the scriptures aside, Prabhupada said that. So you don't talk based on the scriptures, you keep the scriptures aside. See, I'm just telling you common sense. Prabhupada said. Prabhupada told the reporters. Prabhupada told that, see, I'm saying animals eat, you are also eating. Animals sleep, you also sleep. Animals mate, you also mate. And animals defend, you also defend. And animals give birth to children, you also give birth to human children. And when you cut the body of an animal, blood comes out. And when I cut your body, blood also comes out. Then how do you say that animals have no soul? So it is just common sense. Why do you talk on based on your scriptures? Prabhupada told them. So that's a very interesting thing. So Prabhupada is not using scriptures here. So then Prabhupada said, see, it is just based on common sense and logic. Then Prabhupada asked that a reporter, Mike Robinson, so do you know what is logic is? So logic is actually science. So if you're not arguing on based on the logic, so then so it is not scientific, isn't it? So what logic means? If there are so many similarities to prove a particular statement, so this is similar to this is equal to this is equal to this, then logically, in conclusion, that actually the statement is proved. So that's what Prabhupada is saying. So there are so many similarities which actually proves that animals also have a soul, isn't it? So then immediately the reporter, he said that uh, so okay, assume that an animal has no soul, he said. Then Prabhupada immediately again cut the statement. So Prabhupada said that okay, then immediately Prabhupada immediately told, then if you think that animals have no soul, tell me what's the difference between a living body and a dead body. Suppose a man is living and after some time he's a dead. What's the difference between the two, living body and a dead body? Because a dead body also has heart, lungs, kidneys, brain, blood. A living body has a brain, heart, kidneys, lung, and a dead body also has the same things, isn't it? A dead body also has kidneys, lungs, hearts, brain, blood is there, then eyes, nose, ears, everything is there. But one body is living, one body is dead. Why is it? If chemical constituents are the same, why is one body living and why one body is dead? What is the difference? Scientifically, there is no difference, isn't it? But still, one body is living and one body is dead. So that actually proves. Then the reporter could not reply anything. So that actually proves that the main difference between the living body and a dead body is the presence of soul. So that's what Prabhupada wanted to uh, put the point to that reporter. So here Prabhupada is saying that he is very clearly condemning the dull arguments that scientists are putting forth. So the arguments that scientists are putting forth is basically of not at all intelligent arguments. That's why Prabhupada told the reporter that you put the scriptures also aside. I am just telling based on common sense. So even a person of a normal common sense can actually say that animals have soul. So that's why in all many of the places, Prabhupada says that nowadays modern scientists, philosophers, they put forward so many theories which are actually completely have no basis at all, and these things are taught in big universities, big schools and colleges, and basically they are in the modern education. So they are removing God out of the picture. That's all. And nowadays children, they are becoming completely godless. So if you don't if you completely remove God from the picture, then automatically nobody wants to respect their teachers, nobody wants to respect their elders, parents, or their friends. And that's why there is so many wars and things like that. And later in the purport, again Prabhupada is continuing. Uh, so Prabhupada is making this statement in the purport. It is a Paramatma also who gives the intelligence by which the bees can construct a hive, collect honey from various flowers, store it and enjoy it. Human society is exactly like a beehive. So Prabhupada is saying, for everyone is engaged in collecting honey from various flowers or collecting money from various sources and creating large empires for common enjoyment. However, after these empires are created, the bites of other nations have to be suffered. Sometimes nations declare war upon one another. And see, Prabhupada is actually predicting what is going to be the future of Kali Yuga. Sometimes nations create war upon one another, and human beings become sources of misery. Although human beings are creating these behaviors in order to enjoy the sweetness of their senses, They are at the same time suffering from the bites of other persons or nations. So, Prabhupada is saying how these honeybees, they do a lot of hard work. They go to different places, different gardens, different flowers. They collect very nice honey, and they collect all this honey in a beehive. So they deposit it, and after they keep depositing it, and when this honey and these honeybees, they want to take out the enjoy the honey, so they are stung by other honeybees. So Prabhupada is saying that is the nature of the material world. Actually, all of us, we are trying so hard. We are working so hard to collect a lot of money, lot of wealth, lot of property, and but when and then what happens is that, and people are envying each other. Oh, this person has a lot of money, lot of wealth. Let me fight with this person and take his wealth. Or one country thinks that, okay, let me engage war. I will start a war with this particular country, or I'll take. And what does he want to do? So he wants to wage a war, and he's eyeing the oil which is there in that particular country, or he wants petroleum from that country, or that country is very rich. He wants to bring that country under its control. So basically, all these things. So we may get bewildered. Many people are bewildered. Why are there so many wars now? And why are the earthquakes happening, tsunami happening? Why are there wars even in this 21st century? Because all these things are already predicted by Srimad Bhagavatam only. So Srimad Bhagavatam says all these things are going to happen in this age of Kali Yuga, and we should not be comfortable living in this age of Kali Yuga. So no more. So we have to basically do our minimum needful, and leave the rest to Krishna. So just perform devotional service and go back home, back to Godhead. So we should not be eager to again take birth in this world. So that's why it's mentioned in Bhagavatam, taseva heto prayate takovido nalabhyate yad brahmatam paryadaha tallabhyate dukha nyata sukam kalena sarvatra gabhira ramasa. So Bhagavatam says, why do you endeavor for something which is making you take birth in this material world? And anyway, all these things are there in the heavens, or and even though if you go to heaven or upper planetary systems or lower planet, or if you want to remain in the earth also, the happiness which is there in this material world is anyway destined. Just like even though you don't want misery, still the misery comes to you. Because all of us are working. See, all of us are earning so much, working hard so much, because you don't want misery, isn't it? But still the misery comes to you. So similarly, Bhagavatam says that why do you work so hard for happiness? And happiness is always destined. So just like misery is destined, just like there is 70% misery is going to come to you. Similarly, some quota of 70% happiness is also destined to you. Even though you do not want, it is going to come to you. So that's why Bhagavatam says, why to work so hard for material happiness, even though it is destined. Just like animals. So animals, Prabhupada says, animals are working so hard for sense enjoyment, isn't it? So animals are all the time, 24 hours, they are inquiring, asking questions with each other. Suppose a bird, but Bhagavatam mentioned that as soon as a bird gets up early in the morning, it is asking questions with other birds. Where is food? Which direction should we fly? So which country should we fly? Should be our next trip. So basically, the birds, animals, they're all asking each other, where should we go? So what should we eat today? Where should we sleep? How should we defend from other living entities? So these eating, sleeping, mating, and defending animals are doing, and they are working so hard to do all these things. But the special prerogative a man has is that if a man also engages in eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, then Prabhupada says that the human being is also non-different from animals. Then what is the use of being born as a human being, isn't it? So, the special prerogative of a human being is that he can inquire about God. He can inquire about Krishna consciousness. He can inquire, who am I? What is the goal of my life? So, what is the uh, why am I born? Why is suffering happening to me? So, all these things a human being has to ask. And if a human being gets in contact with a spiritual master, gets in contact with a pure devotee, then he has to take this Krishna consciousness seriously, and try to progress sincerely in the path of devotional service. So he should not again go to the path of sense gratification like the animals are doing. So that's what Prabhupada many times he would say, this modern civilization is just like dogs are running on four legs. So we are building such big modern cars, and we are also running on four wheels. So what is the difference between dog running on four wheels and human beings are running on? I mean, dog is running on four legs, and human beings are running on four wheels. The cars, especially. So, Prabhupada is saying that human beings are endeavoring so hard, making so much technological and scientific advancement. But what is the use? So, basically, they are human beings are I mean, they are engaging in so much hard work just for improving the quality of sense gratification. That's all. See, animals. A dog is eating, sleeping, meeting, and defending on the road, and human beings are doing the same thing in a very nice, luxurious apartment. That's all. There's no difference. So only the standard of living they have improved is high, but the quality of sense gratification is the same. Basically, the activity the modern human beings are doing with so much scientific advancement, technological advancement. So they are doing the same activity which an animal is doing. That's all. But they may be doing in a big bungalow or a skyscraper building. That's all. So Prabhupada said, what is the use? So, the human beings have to use their human life, human species to inquire about God. Otherwise, what will happen is that again, punacharvita charvananam. So again we have to punarmushiko bhava. So again we have to take birth in the species of animals. So that is what is going to happen if you don't make if you don't make use of the gift of human form of life that we have got. So this struggle for existence is very harsh. Just like Prabhupada was giving the example of the bees, honeybees. So the honeybees, with so much effort, they have accumulated a lot of honey. But ultimately, when they want to enjoy the honey, the other honeybees, the other brothers, sisters are stinging them because they also want to enjoy the honey. So the struggle for existence is there in the material world. Ahara nidra bhaya maithunam se. So, so uh, just like when you have seen sometimes a bird is eating. You might have seen in the villages. Suppose a hen is eating something from the soil. So then the hen is very much afraid. You might have seen the hen is looking like this. It is looking here and there whether somebody is coming to attack me, isn't it? So why the hen is so much afraid? Because the animal species, the whole animal species is like that only. So there's in so much anxiety for ahara nidra bhaya maithunam cha. So for these both for doing all these four basic activities, the animals are so much afraid whether anytime some animal is going to attack them, and they will be stopped from doing these four kinds of activities. But for a human being, is it so like that? So when we are eating prasadam from our plate, so are we looking here and there like this? Like just like how a hen is looking here and there, are we looking here and there? Is somebody going to take our prasadam plate? No, nobody is going to take our prasadam plate because so we are human beings, isn't it? So nobody is. So we are completely without anxiety. We are taking prasadam. So without any anxiety, we are not in anxiety that when we are sleeping in the bedroom, some animal is going to eat us or something. No, no. So we are completely peacefully sleeping and mating, defending, and all. And we are not. A dog is completely in anxiety that. See, a dog thinks that this is I'm the owner of the street. See, if some other dogs come, that actually the dogs think like that. I'm the owner of the street. This whole street is in this whole road is in my name. The dog thinks like that. So I'm the owner of this road. So, and when some other dog or some other person comes, it starts barking, bow, 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 like that. So a dog is an anxiety that somebody should not take this away from me. So, but these kind of anxieties are not there in a human species, in human form. So Prabhupada says that, so use this human form for self-realization. So that's why Prahlad Maharaj says, Sukham Aindrikam Daitya Deha Yogena Dehina Sarvatra Labhyate Daiva Yata Dukkham Ayatnaha. So Prabhupada is saying to his, not Prabhupada, Prahlad Maharaj is saying this verse to his demonic friends in his school assembly. So he says, my dear friends, born of demonic families, the happiness perceived with reference to sense objects by contact with the body can be obtained in any form of life according to one's past fruitive activities. Such happiness is automatically obtained without endeavor, just as we obtain distress. So here in this verse which Prahlad Maharaj says, and in the other verse which I just recently quoted, Tasyaiva heto prayate kovido. So both these verses, so Bhagavatam is saying that do not endeavor for happiness. Not the material happiness. So because just like see, all of us don't want material distress in our life. We don't want somebody in our family members to die, or we don't want our children to fail in the exams. So we want all of them to pass, and we don't want our parents or to die, isn't it? So see, these kind of sadness we don't want to happen in our life, but still, these kind of things, happiness, this kind of distress comes in our lives, so we cannot stop it. So that's the nature of this material world. So just like this kind of distress happens in our life, similarly, happiness also comes in our lives even though we don't want it. So the particular quota, distress and happiness are destined for us. So one should not endeavor for material happiness, Bhagavatam says. So because how much ever you endeavor, you cannot improve the standard of happiness which is there in our lives. Just like for example, so Prabhupada gives an example of a pig. So pig, so even though if pig is very fond of eating stool, Prabhupada says, so pig always lives in filthy places like gutter or sewage or places like that. And pig is fond of eating stool. And Papa says if you bring a pig to a big bungalow and you give him in a plate very nice halwa, so pig is not going to eat the halwa. So pig will tell you get lost. So pig will again go to the gutter and it will start eating stool. So Prabhupada asked this question: can you improve the standard of happiness of a pig? So can you improve the quality of life of a pig? No. Even though you put pig in a bungalow or you take the pig to a five-star hotel and give him halwa, and pig is only fond of living in the gutter and eating stool. That's all. But a pig thinks, a pig, what does it think? That the happiness that he is getting is unlimited bliss. So he's very happy about it. So similarly, the happiness that we have, the material happiness human beings enjoy, you cannot improve the quality of happiness. The quality of happiness, eating, sleeping, mating, defending, somebody may do in a road, somebody does in a very nice apartment. So that is the only difference. That's all. So ultimately, you have to, the only happiness that you can strive to improve is spiritual happiness. So material happiness you cannot improve. You cannot improve the standard of your happiness at all. So what one has to improve is the happiness of the soul. So we can only be happy if we are connected with Krishna. So that's only true happiness. Just like, for example, if we cannot much, Prabhupada again gives another example. We cannot much change our destiny much. See, Prabhupada gives an example of Mahatma Gandhi. So Gandhiji, so he strived a lot for not making himself happy, but he wanted to make people happy, the whole people of India happy, isn't it? But still, according to destiny, what is the thank you that people of India gave? He was ultimately shot dead by an own Indian only, fellow Indian. So that is our thank you that we gave to Gandhiji. So, so that's what Prabhupada is trying to say, that in this world you may strive very hard to make yourself happy, or you may try to make your family members happy, or like Gandhiji, you may try to do social service, or not social service, like Mahatma Gandhi, you may try to make the whole of India happy. Then, but what is the ultimate end? That the gift that people of India gave him, he was shot dead, isn't it? So you cannot. So what is? You may strive very hard to improve the happiness of people, or but ultimately the misery that is destined for you is not going to change. So if you are supposed to some particular amount of distress is going to happen in your life, that is going to come. If you are supposed to be shot dead, that is going to happen, no matter whatever good you do to your family members or to the nation. So destiny is destiny. So that's why, so one should not strive very hard like a honeybee, or like Prabhupada also give the example of an ass. So Atyahara prayasascha prajalpo niyamagar. So Prabhupada says in this verse in uh, Nectar of Instruction, one must not do prayas. So one must not endeavor for something which is very difficult to obtain. Just like everybody cannot be Ambani or Bill Gates or Elon Musk and all. So people are working so hard, isn't it? Why only if you see in local trains or in Bombay or in so many places, some local train, of course, in Bangalore also it is not so crowded, but many of the local trains in Mumbai or Delhi and so many places, so crowded actually, and some people go from Mumbai to Pune is like 4 hours, and some people travel from Pune to Mumbai, and they work there throughout the day, and night they come back again, catch a train, come back to Pune. So they travel morning 4:30, they leave their home from Pune, go to Mumbai, do their job, and in the night 11 o'clock they return again back to Pune, catching the train. So uh, people are working so hard, but ultimately uh, so many people are working so hard like this. So Prabhupada himself said that when he was in I mean in the New York, so some people would work, catch a flight from New York, they would go to LA, Los Angeles, and every day they would catch a flight to go for work. So and so many miles they have to travel, so much money, and so much work, they have to do so much hard work. But in spite of working so hard, in spite of working so hard, not everybody can become Bill Gates. Or, there are only few people. So they work hard and they become Bill Gates, they become Elon Musk, or they become uh, Ambani and all. And but there are some people who are working even more harder than them, or maybe as hard as them. They are working, but they are not able to become as successful as them. Why? So Prabhupada says, what is the reason why they are all not becoming like them? The reason is that destiny. The only answer is destiny. That's all. So it is not in their destiny to become rich like them. So that's why to work so hard. So just like Prabhupada also gave the example of a donkey. A donkey is working so hard to get for. I mean, it's carrying the clothes of a washerman from morning to night, and heavy load of work it is doing. And ultimately, at the end of the day, the washerman gives him some little morsel of grass. But the donkey is so foolish that why should I work for this washerman if I go all around the land? There is a lot of grass. If I am free from this washerman, I can easily get a lot of grass, isn't it? So why should I work for the washerman to get simply some morsel of grass? So, but donkey is foolish. He thinks that it does not have intelligence. He thinks that only if I work for this washerman, I will get some a morsel of happiness. So that is a foolishness of a donkey. Similarly, Prabhupada also says this about the modern, the human beings, also modern man. So happiness is derived only when we serve Krishna. So if you are not getting happiness, so one cannot get happiness by serving materialistic people. And how much ever hard work you do, so whatever is in there in our destiny is only going to come. It's like I think we saw in this. So Prabhupada here is talking about the war. So sometimes, just like the honeybees, they sting each other for honeybee. I mean for honey. Similarly, nations fight with each other for either for petroleum or for money, things like that. So that's why. So now we see in the many of the wars which are happening, Ukraine or whatever. So people have earned so much, and in Ukraine is actually a very rich country actually. So people have earned a lot of money, and in the capital uh, there are so many big buildings and so many avenues for sense gratification, so many hotels and restaurants and bungalows and skyscraper buildings. And ultimately, when it was bombed, so sometimes the banks, so these people have collected a lot of money and kept in the banks, or they have built a big skyscraper building or big hotels they have built. But ultimately, when it was bombed, all these rich people, they did not have anything. So within one day they became a pauper. So they have to leave their property, money, nothing. They have to just go leave their country only, and they have to go to some other country as refugees. So one day before they were like multi-millionaire, and within one day they became a pauper. So just see the destiny. So we should know that. So this modern man is actually having faith in something which is not long lasting, isn't it? So that's why Prabhupada says that anytime these things can be taken away from us. That's why Prabhupada says that we have to lead a very simple life, isn't it? So many devotees also were sometimes bewildered. Prabhupada, why should we go to the villages, or why should we uh, uh, develop these farm communities? So that's what Prabhupada said that as we go progress in the age of Kali Yuga, these cities cannot be long lasting. Anytime the petroleum will get over, the electricity is going to get over, or somebody is going to put a bomb, then the whole city is going to get finished. Then the only shelter is go to the villages. That's all. So that's why Prabhupada was very intelligent. He was very much concerned about the grihasthas of the future ISKCON. Of course, grihasthas who want to preach the cities, they are welcome. So grihasthas and brahmacharis who want to preach, they can preach. And somebody who is not able to get a good job in the cities. So Prabhupada had made the facilities of farm committees so that they can go there and they can engage in farming or simple take up simple jobs, and their future is completely uh, secured in villages if the occupation is based on agriculture or simple living and high thinking. Okay, so that's why Prabhupada is very much throwing light on the nature of the material world. There's so much harsh struggle that is going on for eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. So our real goal is not in all these things, but to strive for eternal happiness, not material happiness, because material happiness can be taken away at any time. So our the only bank account which we have to increase is our spiritual happiness. So it is time up. So I would like to halt here. Is there any comments or corrections or uh, questions?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Sridhar Priya Prabhu, really wonderful nectar in the morning. Maybe for Grastas, some of them would have felt is it too much?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just joking. Okay, I'll leave it to the others to comment.
Okay.
Yeah, wonderful, Prabhu. Really wonderful class. So basically, to understand, real eye opener, especially for me, to where we stand and what we should do, what is our real duty. Really wonderful, Prabhu. Now devotees can unmute themselves. Hope somebody can unmute and confirm to me because I'm technically so bad.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Pratish. Thank you. Go ahead. Yeah.
Hare Krishna. This is Gaurachandra Gopinath. Thank you so much for the wonderful nectar, especially the Ukraine example you gave. It's a real eye opener. One day they just become how they get transformed. This material thing, it's not permanent. So thank you very much for the enlightening us. Thank you so much.
Other devotees, please share your questions, comments, if any, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. It's not only Ukraine war, also this Corona itself has learned us a lot of lessons. But like Prabhu, I'm an insignificant soul in Krishna consciousness. I don't know much, but still I wanted to ask you this question. I mean, this society needs everybody, all classes of people, all classes of things. I think Krishna is planned in such a way that we can learn from the others. Like you were telling about the asses, they just only go on doing the work. It's a sort of lesson for us. If the ass doesn't want to do, we hear a story once he has put a salt bags, so it dips into the water and it becomes light. So the next day it repeats the donkey. So the next day what that owner, he puts a sandbag on top of the donkey, the weight goes up. It's like, I mean, what I mean to say is, you were telling that destiny is certain. Like we are going to die, it is certain. But how we are going to die can be improved if we are in the consciousness. Is that right, Prabhu? We can.
How we are going to die is?
I know how we are going to die. It is planned by Krishna.
Yeah.
Yes, but by doing the spiritual service, I think it can be improved, like maybe more painless way or in a better way, and we accept that. Is that that's how we have to go into Krishna consciousness?
Yes, Mataji. How is we die is destined, but if once we become devotees, Mataji, then it is not destined. Then it is under the direction of Krishna. So Krishna chooses. Now Krishna is under the control of our karma. So now Krishna is choosing. Will choose how we are going to die. Krishna will not give the same pain which we would have experienced if we were karmis. Because
Yes.
now we are devotees. So it is up to Krishna Mataji that how we are going to die. So, but rarely devotees suffer like karmis, isn't it, Mataji? Like just before this corona, at least, hardly anybody. There are so many people dying in accidents or earthquakes or tsunami or like that. But hardly devotees would die of murder or earthquakes or no devotees would commit suicide also, isn't it? So amongst the devotee circle, these kind of things were very rare. Never happened. I never heard of. And so it is Krishna does. So we will not suffer like outside people, Mataji. So it is said in Bhagavata also. Krishna says, "Sarvadharma parityaja mamekam sanam rajo aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami masucha." So a normal man suffers a lot when he dies, and he suffers so much. But for a devotee, so he is not going to suffer because Krishna removes the sinful reactions. So he is not going to die like an outside person. But we may feel some pain, but we should know that that is just a quota, small quota, which is one should, even though a devotee also may have suffering, some may suffer from fracture or something like that. But we should know that actually I am supposed to die of an accident, but it is Krishna's mercy that Krishna just gave me a fracture like that. So we should always think like that. So if a devotee, we may see a devotee is dying of cancer, so we must think that actually one must think that what should the devotee think? He should think that actually I did so many sinful activities that I had to suffer from cancer for many thousands of years, thousands of lifetimes. But Krishna just gave me only cancer only for this particular lifetime, and after this lifetime, I'm going back home, back to Godhead. So a devotee is supposed to think like that, Mataji. Actually, we are not knowing the whole picture, Mataji. That's why we think that some suffering is coming, and we are thinking that why is Krishna giving this to me? Actually, Krishna is only giving a small token. That's all. Actually, we are supposed to suffer a million times more because of our sinful activities. But Krishna is only giving us a small token of suffering. That's all. Is that clear, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. That's what I was just thinking. Because of being in Krishna consciousness, He gives us a lot of strength
Yeah.
to bear it. We think it as a prasada from Krishna.
Yeah.
We accept it. Thank you, Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, there is a question saying that, I think Shweta Mataji, Hare Krishna Prabhu, as we were saying, destiny can't be changed. How can we accept to live with better hope amidst of worldly people? It's definitely not our hands to change or favor things for ourselves. The question is that, are we not supposed to change our things in our favor?
That Mataji is asking if she wants some leave in the company. Yeah?
No.
Huh?
So basically, she's saying, as we are staying in saying destiny can't be changed.
Uh-huh.
How can we accept live with the better hope amidst of worldly people?
Oh, okay. Okay. So, of course, destiny can be changed if you chant Hare Krishna and become Krishna's devotee. So destiny can be changed. So I mentioned destiny cannot be changed because when we are striving for material pursuits, so that's what I mentioned. Like for example, if somebody is working hard to become like Ambani, not everybody can become Ambani. So Krishna has given us only this much wealth, and we can get only that much wealth, isn't it? So in that sense, I mentioned. What if Krishna says things that, oh,
Hare Krishna. Others able to hear, Prabhu? I'm not able to hear.
No, Prabhu. I think
Got disconnected maybe.
Yeah.
Sridhar Priya Prabhu, I think has got disconnected. Okay, so I think lack of time, if he comes back, we'll connect again. But otherwise, Prabhu, as a concluding, saying that for devotees, destiny can be changed if you surrender to Krishna, like he has quoted from Bhagavatam Sarvadharma. So once we surrender, definitely our karma, our sins also taken away by the Krishna. So I think Prabhu has lost. So once again, let's thank Prabhu for his wonderful nectar today, Sridhar Priya Prabhu. So with that, we'll end here today's session. We'll meet tomorrow. Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhya patidana
Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sridhar Priya Prabhu ki jai.
Nitai Gaur Premananda ki.
Hari Hari.
Hari Bo.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat.
Krishna Dandavat Pranam.